Hello, and welcome to UND State of the University. My name is Jonathan Blankenship, and I serve as the Student Body President.
I'm Adam Metz, I'm University Senate Chair.
And I'm Brandon Wallace, Staff Senate President. We're so glad you could join us today, both in person and online.
We're honored to stand here on behalf of UND's incredible faculty, staff, and students. The past year has been one of remarkable growth. UND is moving forward with more momentum than ever before. Today, we'll celebrate the achievements that brought us here and look ahead to the exciting opportunities and bold initiatives that are shaping UND's future.
We'll also unveil this year's new theme, continuing a tradition that reflects UND's journey and growth. In 2022, we celebrated the Year of Gratitude. In 2023, we embraced the Year of Connections, and last year we charged ahead in the Year of Momentum. Looking back at UND's many successes, it's clear how each came to life and helped build the strong foundation that we stand on today.
For me, last year was all about student excellence. UND's Frozen Force team earned our first win in a prestigious national competition. Our first collegiate training initiative cohort graduated, sending top students straight into ATC tower positions. And we had a student team that developed an AI system to help air traffic controllers manage high-stress situations, which took first place in Washington, D.C. Thank you. These are just a few examples from my college, the John D. Odegaard School of Aerospace Sciences, but every college at UND has stories like this, demonstrating that student excellence is a priority at the University of North Dakota.
Last year, we launched UND Connect, bringing faculty, students, and community members together on projects that improve quality of life in North Dakota. In the first 2 years, 19 projects were funded, including one that I led, partnering with the Community Violence Intervention Center and the Grand Forks Domestic Violence Court. Supported by the North Dakota Economic Diversification Research Grant Fund, these collaborations give students real-world experience while delivering lasting benefits to our communities. With another round of projects launching this fall, we are excited to see what new projects and initiatives will be explored in the future.
UND is leading the way in advancing artificial intelligence, driving collaboration, innovation, and dialogue across disciplines. Faculty, staff, and students are actively engaged in shaping how AI is transforming higher education and society. Through monthly forums that convene experts and community members from across North Dakota, and initiatives that examine the societal and cultural dimensions of AI, UND is not only participating in the conversations, it's helping to define the future of this rapidly evolving technology.
Our campus is buzzing with transformation, especially in our academic spaces. Merrifield Hall reopened in January with stunning renovations, just in time for our alumni to see it during homecoming this fall. In May, we broke ground on the new Flight Operations Center, complete with modern classrooms and a dispatch center to help prepare students for today's aviation careers. And thanks to strong legislative support, the new STEM complex will soon be fueling North Dakota's future in science and innovation. These projects are all about creating cutting-edge spaces where students can thrive.
Also, during this year's legislative session, a landmark bill was approved to establish a new entity at UND, the North Dakota Center for Aerospace Medicine, which will serve as a vital interprofessional hub, bringing together the John D. Odegaard School of Aerospace Sciences, the School of Medicine and Health Sciences, Student Health Services, University Counseling Center, and other partners to provide critical mental health support and FAA medical certification assistance to pilots and aviation professionals.
Last year, UND advanced its commitment to accessibility by hosting the Just Ask Accessibility and Disability Conference, bringing together experts and peers to highlight the lived experiences of those navigating inaccessible environments and to explore ways to make them more inclusive for all. This year, we're raising the bar with Strive for 85, aiming to make our digital resources fully accessible. It's in step with upcoming changes to the ADA and reflects our commitment to building learning environments where every student can thrive.
Exciting momentum is building for students this year with the launch of our President's Leadership Fellows cohort. This program will shape the next generation of leaders through unique programming and hands-on experiences. As a student leader, I'm thrilled to see initiatives like this come to life and look forward to championing new ideas that inspire and empower future UND students.
This year, we're excited to welcome 50 new faculty members whose expertise strengthens our community, academic community, and advances our institutional mission. At UND, we believe shared governance is more than a process, it's a part of our culture. Through open dialogue and collaboration, we collectively shape UND's future together. I want to encourage everyone to get involved and lend your voice to this process by joining the university, staff, or student senate, or one of our many standing committees.
We invite everyone to join the conversations that keep UND strong. This year, the LEADS team is giving out collectible stickers like this one at events tied to our core values: learning, equity, affinity, discovery, and service. You've each received a LEADS sticker outline, so we encourage you to attend events throughout the year and collect all 5 letters. Students who complete the set will earn a stole of gratitude and LEADS pin for graduation, while employees receive a LEADS Appel pin in gratitude for helping move UND forward. You can learn more on this on the UND LEADS website.
The initiatives that President Armacost will highlight shortly reflect our shared institutional vision. It is a privilege to be a part of inspiring a sense of wonder in our students. Together, we will make sure that UND remains a place where students continue to receive an outstanding education.
Where faculty, staff, and students are encouraged to think creatively and embrace our love of discovery.
And that UND remains a place that sees service to each other and to our communities as central to our mission.
It is now my pleasure to welcome President Armacost, but before he takes the stage to share the State of the University address, let's take a look back and celebrate the highlights and successes of 2024-25.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Is it loud enough? No? Turn it up a little bit. There we go. Holy smokes! What an amazing video. And if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know. Here, on the beginning of another year here at the University of North Dakota. And it's so great to have join us today. Is there something wrong with the mic? It comes in and out? It is. Give me a handheld, please. All right, I'll keep talking until either you tune me out or you can't hear me. So it's amazing to come together to have this state. I always look forward to the chance to share the great stories that are happening and to offer thanks for everything that everybody's doing. And let me thank Jonathan and Brandon and Adam for their great opening. Applause for their leadership. Check 1, 2. Can you hear me now? Nope, not loud enough. Turn it up a little bit. There we go. A little bit higher. There we go. Awesome. And today we're going to reflect upon the core values of what it means to be at the University of North Dakota and everything that our wonderful UND Leads strategic plan brings to the campus. And I also don't have a clicker up here. Could somebody bring the clicker? Don't worry, it'll get better. Can't get any worse. Truth in advertising, I think it was my responsibility to bring it up. Thanks. I have no one to blame but myself. It doesn't work either. Next slide. So we talk about momentum. You heard the word of the year is all about how we drove through this year with a sense of momentum. We talked about it last fall at this time because we knew we had a good thing going. And our goal was to make sure that we put all the forces in place and all the activities and support systems in place to make sure we could keep that momentum alive and keep adding force, to keep accelerating and keep going. And that's exactly what we did this year. It resulted from the dedication of all of our faculty, staff members, students, everybody across the campus, and that commitment to the core values. Next slide, please. And the numbers that we've seen are just absolutely stunning. The enrollment over 15,000, it was the third highest enrollment that we had at the University of North Dakota. And I'll share more about the future in a little bit. We had a 25% increase in the number of first-year students on our campus. 25% from the previous year to this year. And most importantly, we're keeping them here with a 94% fall to spring retention rate. That's you. That's you setting an environment that keeps people at our university because they know the impact that you're having on them and how it's going to impact them for the rest of their lives. Next slide, please. Oh, nope, not next slide. There's a whole bunch of thanks. To get to this point, it's not the result of one person standing up and making a proclamation that it's the year of momentum. It's the work of so many people. And I can't thank enough the work of marketing and communications under the Vice President Melanie Linder and her entire team, whether it's on the web, whether it's in print, whether it's... There's an on button. Thank you. It's so simple. Forget AI. He can't. The new form of AI, it's called Andy intelligence. There it is. But the work of marketing and communications spreads the word across the nation, across the state, across the region about the stories that we're telling here, whether it's in UND Today, whether it's on the website, whether it's in the print media, whether it's broadcast media, marketing and communication gets the word out. Our enrollment services and our admissions office they do an amazing job. Our tour guides, everybody who's involved in showing off the campus just do incredible work. But the action, the faculty and staff who are the lifeblood of our campus, who bring the mission day in and day out, are part of selling the story and demonstrating what it means to be a student and a member of our community here at the University of North Dakota. And then, of course, there's all the logistics that happen to welcome all those people to campus, whether it's facilities, housing, parking, everything that happens behind the scenes allows these numbers to happen. And in fact, because of the work we did to welcome all these people, we'll see the numbers go up even higher this year. I'll get to that in a moment. But thanks to, give yourselves a round of applause. These are your numbers, they're not mine. It works. Let me showcase a couple of our tremendous national scholars. You see Grayson Orn, he was a Truman Scholar. Autumn Landwehr is a Goldwater Scholar. David Moreno is a Boren Scholar. These are premier scholarships across our nation. They're international recognition. And we have students at the University of North Dakota who are earning and competing for these top-ranked national scholarships. But it doesn't come without effort, of course. Yihan Chu, I don't know if Yihan made it today, but Yihan Chu does amazing work leading our national scholarship program. Of course, Mary Kirby, who's the director of our honors program, does amazing work. Her and her team, well done. And then the countless faculty members and staff members who mentor and shape our young people who are applying for these scholarships. Your advice and mentorship allow this to happen. So give yourselves a round of applause as well. We often, in this age of the NCAA and all the things you read about in the media, we always like to highlight the really cool things that are happening. These are two amazing scholar athletes. Jaden Keeler is the conference champion and an All-American second team in the 5,000 meters. In addition, she was the Summit League's Female Scholar Athlete of the Year. She's, I forget her major, geography and microbiology. I think probably advisors cellular biology and geography, double major. Absolutely amazing the work that she's doing. She carries close to a 4-point GPA and an amazing athlete and amazing scholar. Kenna Curry was nominated for the NCAA Woman of the Year, and we'll find out at the convention in January whether she's one of the honorees. Woman of the Year focuses on both their athletic accomplishments, their academic accomplishments, and then they're also their contributions to the local community. And Kenna was the champion, the Summit League champion in both the shot put and the hammer. That's the one where they spin around real fast and chuck this weight like 200 feet. Kenna actually was 7th in the nation in the hammer throw. And she earned first team All-American. So when you think about this dichotomy, like one can be a great athlete or they can be a great student, these two prove that that's not the case. And they're great examples for all of our student athletes about the combination of what it means to be an amazing citizen and an amazing member of our community. How about a round of applause for them? I'd like to offer my thanks to these leaders. Some are on travel today, but they're tuned in online, so hello, everyone. Marjorie Jenkins, our new Vice President for Health Affairs and Dean of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences. Shelby Whitty, the Dean of the College of Education and Human Development. Ryan Adams, who was the Interim Dean of the College of Engineering and Mines and was appointed several months ago as the permanent Dean. And then, of course, our Chief of Staff for the university, who came over from the School of Medicine as their Chief of Staff to join us, Judy Solberg. How about a round of applause for them? The Staff Senate does something amazing. The recognition that they give to their staff members across the campus happens often with something called the You Shine Award. This is where supervisors nominate key staff members for recognition by the Senate. And the Senate has a selection process to give these people the adoration and the recognition that they deserve. And you can see the list here. Loanne, Ashley, Roxanne, Michael, Andrew, and Lucas, Hannah, Brittany, and Sherry. Congratulations to each of them for being recognized by the Staff Senate with You Shine Awards. And I had a chance to read a number of the nominations that were put forward, thanks to the supervisors who spend the time and care to make that happen. And the things that I read talked about not just excellence in what they're doing, but also the way that they light up their workplaces, the way they contribute to the overall community at UND and beyond. And these holistic, these valuable contributions that they're making are truly noted by their peers and their leadership. So great job to each of our You Shine Award winners. And as we think about building this sense of community on our campus, there's no better example than the Healthy Hawks Coalition that was formed under the leadership of Vice President Art Malloy. Chris Suriano is the inaugural director. He's doing this for 2 years, but he, along with Jess Doty and Kaylee Trottier, led our kickoff meeting in April that launched this event. It was a kickoff event where we talked about the elements of what it means to be healthy, the different layers of healthiness, whether it's physical health or mental health. The Healthy Hawks Coalition is our attempt at UND to bring all of the resources available to each and every one of you and our students to make sure you have the support that you need and that we can grow together as individuals and grow together collectively. So many thanks to Chris and Jess and Kaylee for their hard work. So how about a round of applause for them? And the academic innovation keeps turning. Here's a number of highlights. Our bachelor's degrees, I highlighted 3 here that were launched. Aerospace engineering was launched actually 2 years ago, but its enrollments keep growing pretty meteorically, if that's an adverb. Meteorically, yes. We're up to close to 200 new freshmen in the aerospace engineering program. That's shared between the College of Engineering and Mines and the John D. Odegaard School of Aerospace Sciences. Our program in journalism, which I think has doubled its freshman enrollments. I saw Soo Jung earlier, so that's great news. And this is the launch this year of, or the return of music therapy here on our campus. And we know that program is going to make a huge influence. At the master's level, you see the examples here, our athletic administration and coaching masters, our forensic science masters, which builds on the amazing success of our bachelors in forensic science, and also our human technology interaction out of our Department of Philosophy and Religion. This is a master's degree to focus on what are the ethical and societal implications of all these new technologies, such as AI, that are coming forward. And then finally, speaking of AI, our new doctoral program, PhD program in AI out of the College of Engineering and Mines. So congratulations to all the program directors, the deans, the department chairs who are initiating these programs and making sure our students are getting a modern, relevant education in these areas. How about a round of applause for them? And when you talk about the great academic excellence, we celebrate the research accomplishments. This is a great achievement for the campus, R1, which means we're among the top 187 universities in the nation in terms of our research output. So that's not just funded research, that's PhD production as well. And so it's great to earn that status. But that status is, to me, just a marker of what we're doing. My commitment is to make sure that each and every member of our faculty and our students and staff members are contributing in a meaningful way to creating knowledge. R1 is an indication that we're doing that at some level, some nationally recognized level. But this isn't just about funded research. This is all research and creative activity across the campus. And so I'm so proud of what we've done. I offer my thanks on the research sponsorship side to the Vice President for Research and Economic Development, Scott Snyder, his predecessor, John Mihalich, and the amazing team that's in the VP RED office. I also, most importantly, have to thank all the faculty and staff members who have put your minds to work, who have discovered new things, who have created new things, and we celebrate that today. And we have the notion of grand challenges, which were launched under my predecessor. We're going to take a look at the grand challenges to see how we bring more people, more disciplines into the grand challenges, and also define what grand challenges are we missing, and to look at opportunities to make an even bigger difference across society and across the world. Currently, the grand challenges focus on things like autonomy, rural health, human health, energy, of course, computational sciences, and a new one on national security. And we'll say a little bit more about national security here in a few minutes. But this is the spirit of discovery. This is what this is about. It's in our strategic plan. How we create knowledge, how we identify and discover new things truly matters. This is what institutions of higher learning need to do, and we need to commit to the free expression of ideas. We need to commit to academic freedom in all corners of our environment here at UND. One way that we broadcast is nationally, a dialogue that we've begun, and this was a sponsorship, a partnership with a publication called The Conversation. The formal partnership began in 2022. Overall, in the life of The Conversation, we've had 41 different faculty members, scholars, who have written in The Conversation with more than 60 articles. There have been more than or close to 1.5 million readers of those articles, and it's picking up steam. We expect within the next year to be well over 2 million reads. And I highlight here Leanne Williams, who has now, she is a six-time author in the conversation. Her most recent work looks at natural disasters and the intersection with mental health and mental health treatment. So kudos to Leanne and all the authors across the campus for their amazing work. How about a round of applause? And in November of 2022, you remember it because it hit us like a buzzsaw. That was the launch of ChatGPT. And we said, oh, wow, we need to think about AI a little bit more. AI had been under development since the 1950s. It had a huge resurgence in the late 90s when computational power increased. And lo and behold, AI came on the scene. And what I've been most proud of at the University of North Dakota is not, let's get a whole bunch of computer scientists in the room. No offense to the College of Engineering and Mines. Ryan, I see you over there. We love our computer scientists who are developing AI. We love our folks in biomedical sciences who are looking at AI applications to create new drug therapies for cancer patients or Parkinson's patients. These are great things. It's great uses of AI. AI will save lives. AI will also challenge us in very human ways. And so what pleased me the most about our university's reaction to AI is it was universal. Everybody on the campus asked the question, how does this relate to me? How does it relate to my job? How does it relate to what I teach? How does it relate to students? And by asking those questions, we've been able to come up with a very nice comprehensive set of AI directions, and I'll say more at the end about the future. But I wanted to highlight Emily Cherry-Oliver and Anna Kinney for their work in the AI and Human Innovation Initiative to look at the intersection of AI with the humanities and the arts. And they hosted a conference this spring that was absolutely remarkable, a great opportunity for the dialogue, exactly the dialogue that universities like ours should be engaged in. So how about a round of applause for Emily and Anna? I shouldn't forget that they have two other members on the committee, and that's Tammy Carmichael and Ann Kelsch. So they've contributed immeasurably to the efforts within that initiative. Folks, 56 years of the Writers' Conference here at the University of North Dakota. One of the early stories I heard about Truman Capote's visit to UND was associated with the Writers' Conference. The Writers' Conference, raise your hand if you've been to the Writers' Conference. Not enough. Not enough. Folks, there we go. Crystal Alberts, longtime chair, and I know Patrick Henry's back there. I see Patrick, who's the current director. Not enough, and here's why. They have a knack for identifying the best literary thinkers in the world, and they bring them to our little corner of the universe. The Writers' Conference has such an international reputation, and it's been the work of Patrick and Crystal who have made that happen. Before these authors and these writers and these poets won their national awards, whether it's Pulitzer Prize winners or Nobel Prize or PEN America prizes, Crystal, Patrick, I could go on forever, Nobel Prizes in literature, they came here. So next year, you will have a chance to hear a future Nobel Prize winner, a future Pulitzer Prize winner by participating in the Writers' Conference. Take advantage of it. Take advantage not just of this, but of every activity on our campus, because there's some really cool stuff happening at UND. This year it was Makers and Machines, capitalizing upon all the discussions about the intersection of technology and human beings. And so I'm so proud of Patrick for the work that you did. Great job. How about a round of applause for Patrick? And also for Crystal Alberts for her long-term contributions. And how do we make it happen? We rely on state appropriations, we rely on tuition, but an increasingly and vital part of how we operate our university comes through philanthropy. And our UND Alumni Association and Foundation, Deanna Carlson-Zink, CEO, and Vice President Mike Manassa are up front here. All of their development officers, all of the faculty and staff who are involved in the discussions with potential donors, you have made it happen. Think about this. 5 years ago, we picked a target of $500 million. And people said, oh, there's no way we'll ever get there. And we said, no, we're going to do it. And we did it. We finished 20 months early, 20 months ahead of the December 2026 deadline. We did it. We hit the $500 million mark. That's absolutely incredible. These $500 million will support student scholarships. It'll support endowed faculty positions. It will support facilities and programs that you deliver to your students. But we're not stopping at 500. We're going to keep going until that deadline of December 26 when the campaign closes out, and our new target is $625 million, and that money will support the programs and the opportunities that each of you deliver. How about a round of applause for the foundation? And one area that donations, I mentioned it, scholarships, endowed faculty positions, but facilities are a big thing. The projects that you see here are the result of both donors and legislative action. You see Albrecht Field in the upper left. This is an amazing facility that supports our UND women's softball team. That's opening night. We had 1,500 people at the game that night. And we had about 500 people at closing night in the spring. Absolutely incredible rallying point for those student athletes who bring it day in and day out, who are balancing life in the classroom with life on the field. In the center, you see an aerial picture, and this was just taken the other day. I think our marketing and communications people went out, flew the drone up to get a nice view. And you see the apartment complexes, which are public-private partnerships. Those did not cost the university anything to put up. You see the athletic fields, and you see the addition to the Pollard Center. The addition to the Pollard Center supports track and field, cross country, football, softball. That's about it. And anyone else who wants, and it supports the local community. This is all made possible by the generosity of donors. And you see that as we're talking about competing within Division I sports, providing our student athletes the facilities that they need, and also living accommodations for any student. These are not athletic dorms. These are apartment complexes that support anyone who wants to live there. Okay, so amazing opportunity there. And then on the upper right, you see Merrifield Hall, the interior lobby of that beautiful new old building. The facelift, the renovation has been absolutely amazing within Merrifield Hall. And then forthcoming, in the lower left, we have the STEM complex, which is on the site of the Hislop Athletic Center, which right across the street, you've seen, is coming down. It's about halfway down at this point. Hislop provided so much to so many for so long. Whether it was watching UND sports in that arena, whether it was watching a KISS concert. Tom, were you at the KISS concert? No. The Shrine Circus, and I've heard stories about the animals accidentally being released, right? Elephants parading through the back of Hislop. There are so many stories that emerge, but sometimes the buildings age out, and it's about the memories that exist and the impact that the university had through those facilities that truly matters. So it will be replaced by our STEM complex, which both the legislature has approved both phases, phase 1 and phase 2 of that building. We've done the donor raise for the first phase, and we're partway through, probably about a third the way through the second phase for the donor piece. So that's moving along amazingly. In the middle is the Flight Op Center for the Odegaard School. This is out at the airport. The old Flight Op Center is gone. It's been taken down, and the construction will begin soon for this building. And then in the right, we have artist rendition of the new addition to the School of Medicine and Health Sciences. But wait, it's not just for the medical school. In fact, this will be the home of our College of Nursing and Professional Disciplines. I know Dean Sjogren's here somewhere. I saw her walk in earlier. It will also have biomedical research facilities, and it will also focus on the interprofessional. How do you train nurses and doctors and therapists and medical lab technicians to work together to deliver health care in rural settings? And how do you take advantage of technology to do that as well? So there's a huge opportunity for us to really up the game in terms of how we deliver rural health in modern and amazing ways to keep our citizens safe. Let me remind you, so a couple dates to remember. The groundbreaking for the STEM facility will be on Friday, September 19th. Write it down at 1:30. And the Merrifield ribbon cutting. So we're doing a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting on the same day. So also on Friday, September 19th at 3 p.m. This is the Friday of homecoming. It's going to be a busy day, so hopefully you can attend one or both of those events. So again, thanks to the many donors who have made the projects happen. Thanks to the legislature for giving us approval. And thanks to our facilities team who are here as well, and all of the developers and the architects who made these happen. How about a round of applause for all of them? So there's infrastructure above the ground, and then there's infrastructure that you just don't see. And so let me offer my thanks to UIT for their creation of UND NetX. It's the modern version of our network enterprise on campus. We'll have much better 24/7 support to the campus. We'll have much greater network reliability, and it comes at a fraction of the cost. I forget how many millions of dollars we're saving annually on this, but it's a lot of money, and it's the great work of Madhavi Marasinga and all of her team at UIT. And then in addition, we need to highlight the work in the Computational Research Center. This is one of those behind-the-scenes actions. It's an engine that has massive computational power that allows us to do some of those advanced engineering and biomedical applications of AI and other computational work that's going on. And so let me thank Aaron Bergstrom and his team for the work that's happening at the Computational Research Center. How about a round of applause for them? All right. How much clapping are we going to have to do? I'm not going to say it today, though, Kathy. But we're going to get a round of applause for you here in a moment. I mentioned earlier national security, and there's a huge emphasis on how we, as a university, can contribute to the health of national security. This could be through looking at defense-related issues. It could be economic policy. It could be energy policy. Or energy delivery. There's a whole bunch of ways that UND can contribute to the national security front. And we're making that visible through a series of speakers. In this series, Melanie Linder was kind to conceive of this idea of let's have an every 6-month session where we host leading thinkers in national security. And the first was Lori Robinson, who was a retired 4-star general from the Air Force. I think we have the names. I swap-a-roonied them last night, and I got them backwards. And then Adrian Spain, who's a current active duty Air Force person on the air staff at the Pentagon. And they both shared their perspectives on the future of defense work, on international geopolitical issues, and their insights are stunning, and they help us understand what we need to be thinking about. And furthermore, they put UND on the national stage by aligning us with the work that they're doing as national leaders. And then let me draw your attention to Ben Davies, who's the president of Northrop Grumman's Defense Systems Sector. He'll be on campus associated with our Space Symposium on November 6th. So look forward for the advertisements there. It's going to be an amazing opportunity to hear from him. All right. You've heard me talk enough, right? No, never. I can keep going. We're going to show a video now to allow me to grab my breath and get a drink of water. But this video is going to go in deep on some of those national security initiatives. I know you'll be impressed with the work that you see.
The University of North Dakota in Grand Forks
And turn
is
it up a
place
little.
where innovations and autonomous systems are born. Already dominant in training the world's commercial airline pilots, UND foresaw the uncrewed flight revolution and predicted its important role in the future of national security. UND also was recognized early as a DoD Center of Excellence for UAS education, creating multiple research partnerships in detect and avoid technology, the integration of UAS into national airspace, and working with the Department of Homeland Security to develop counter-UAV technologies. And UND has strong ties to the nearby Grand Forks Air Force Base, a military UAS operations hub, and the adjacent Grand Sky UAS Business Park, anchored by tech giants Northrop Grumman and General Atomics, where emerging UAS technologies are tested. Drawn by UND's established legacy in aerospace education and space studies program, the U.S. Space Force saw the national security potential of UND when it chose the school as the first member of the Select University Partnership Program in 2021. It's where the world's future astronauts come to train, where the next generation of spacesuits are designed and tested, where students employ sophisticated antennas and bistatic radar to track, control, and communicate with satellites in our new Space Operations Center. Across campus, UND's National Security Corridor brings together researchers from big data, aerospace engineering, hypersonics, and cybersecurity with local, state, and federal agencies and corporate partners. Traditional arts and sciences disciplines also play a role with the establishment of a new nanofoundry. This is where nanoscale devices can be designed, fabricated, and tested for the DoD and defense contractors. UND is also establishing a laser communications lab to transfer extremely large data sets more quickly and securely. These kinds of interdisciplinary partnerships are crucial as the security challenges we face as a nation transcend any one academic discipline. Through the Scholarship of National Security, UND is serving the country and creating new opportunities for student and faculty.
There we go. And many of these initiatives are supported by the state legislature. They're supported by particular donors and then also industry partnerships. And when you look at the UAS work, the UAS work that's happening both in the Odegaard School and also with the Research Institute for Autonomous Systems is looking at not just defense-related applications, but other uses. In fact, last year, we prototyped the delivery of medicine and medical supplies across Lake Sacagawea on the MHA Nation lands so that they could fly medical supplies across the lake rather than having to drive them for an hour and a half across the lake. So it shows the impact of being able to use UAS and the Northern Plains UAS test site in an effective way. And then most recently, another experiment up in Grafton showed the same thing. It was the Center for Innovation partnering with industry members to see how we can fly medical supplies in other areas of rural North Dakota. So the work on the campus is happening not just in one area, but this interdisciplinary approach and coming together really allow us to do some amazing things. And you saw the Nano Foundry. Nuri Ansel and his team have designed and built this facility that literally creates materials that are 1 atom thick. I forget the nanometers, but it's pretty small stuff. And but it has applications within materials for space, for communications, for quantum computing. The future is happening here at UND, and we're grateful to the state legislature for their support in making that happen. Speaking of national security, I figured I'd introduce you to Rod Lewis, who is a PhD graduate in 2023 from UND. He's also a retired Major General, 2-star general in the U.S. Air Force. He's a well-connected person in D.C. With the highest levels of government, and he's also now serving as our liaison to the D.C. area to look for opportunities in national security and how we can create partnerships with the federal government and also with industry. So you'll see Rod Lewis around, and some of the folks in the room from the College of Education certainly know Rod. I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about our efforts on repatriation. Anytime I talk about repatriation, of course, it's a sad and difficult story to tell, but I'm so proud of the work that's happened across our campus to make sure that ancestors, the human remains of ancestors, known as ancestors to Native American, the Native American community, and their sacred artifacts, burial artifacts, to make sure all of that heads home. This is not just a legal requirement under federal law, it's also a moral and ethical requirement for us to abide by. And so we have committed to that. We have an amazing team that's been led by Crystal Alberts. Crystal's here, and Lane Lyons, who I saw earlier as well. They've done amazing work as the co-chairs of our NAGPRA compliance team, but they've been supported by a large team of folks: Keith Malater, Doug McDonald, Dan Henry, Dan Leverance, Sarah Heidkamp, I saw Sarah here as well, Birgit Hans, Bill Caraher, Betsy Scharf, and Kurt Hansen. And they've dedicated so much time to what should we be doing to respond to the needs for NAGPRA compliance or repatriation, and then also how do we look forward to make sure that we don't just respond to the mistakes of the past and fix them in the present, but how do we look to the future to make sure we educate the members of our campus and the community so that such things don't happen again. So how about a round of applause for their amazing work? In addition, we anticipate that we will have all ancestors home within the next year, and this will be a momentous day for those who are awaiting their return. I hate to say congratulations to us. It sounds like we're patting ourselves on our back. we're doing what's expected of us. We're doing the right thing to make sure that this happens. But it's been done in partnership with state and federal agencies. Most importantly, we thank the tribal leaders who have, and the elders and the cultural resources representatives who have guided us and advised us along the way. It's been their spirit and their support that has kept us going. And we're so proud of them for sticking with us. In addition, there are many on the campus who have been impacted by the activities of repatriation, and I thank you for your patience as well. Whether you're in the College of Engineering and Mines, whether you're in Arts and Sciences or SMHS, to name a few, we know that the work of repatriation has impacted you, and we truly appreciate the support that you've provided. Again, we're looking forward to turn our attention to the future at some point, but we still have work to do, and we'll get it done. There's two more I have to thank. Jim Jones, who I don't think is here today. He's the CEO of Dirt Divers, who is our cultural resources representative. They've done amazing work for the last 3.5 years to support us. And then in addition, from my office, our point person in the president's office is Crystal Call, who has been a go-to person to make sure all of the red tape is knocked out of the way so that we can operate as quickly and efficiently as possible to get this important work done. All right, I'm watching the weather. The longer I talk, the more likely the sun will come out. So we're only halfway through. No, we just have another 5 or 10 minutes or so. But the upcoming year. So you heard about the growth. If you recall, going into the fall of 2023, we had just over 14,000. Then we had that giant jump up to 15,000. If we stayed at 15,019, I would have been absolutely thrilled that it wasn't just a one-time bump up. What we're predicting is an all-time high of around, right now our predictions are about 15,500. An amazing number. Round of applause. Again, it's you, the members of the campus, that make this happen. And how we come together and how we support these students, how we show them their future, that's what attracts them to the University of North Dakota. And as we prepare for this massive influx, particular thanks to facilities and housing and the people who are filling potholes and getting parking lots built, this is going to have a huge impact on accepting this additional number. But there's also the prep for your classes, right? The additional students in class and the support that needs to come from all services across the campus. I realize this creates more work for everyone. But this is the mission of our institution, is to impact as many as we can. And I'm so proud of the work that you'll do to support this very large number of students who are coming our way. So it's a really good news story. The next two slides I want to focus on are key initiatives that are underway on the campus that I just want to lend my presidential support to and give you some insights into how they will impact our campus and what your role might be in making them happen. The first is digital accessibility. And you heard earlier, I forget who it was it Brandon who talked about the Just Ask conference? That was talking about accessibility in all its forms here on our campus, how we make them physically accessible, whether it's the redesign of Merrifield Hall or the addition of the link between, next to O'Kelly Hall. How we make our environment accessible to all truly matters. It's how we make a welcoming community at the University of North Dakota. But we also have an obligation to comply with the digital elements of the American with Disabilities Act. And by that, I mean our websites and our electronic materials need to be designed in a way that promotes accessibility for those who might have a visual impairment. And so there's a lot of work happening under the leadership of Beth Valentine and Donna Smith, as well as Sarah Kaiser, about how do we accomplish the goal of being compliant with the American with Disabilities Act by April of 2026. And this team is crafting a plan, a series of steps, phases, that we will follow as a campus to make sure that we are compliant with federal law. But most importantly, it's not just about the compliance piece. It's about doing what's right for citizens and students and staff members and faculty members who need this type of support. And so whether it's educating all of you about what digital accessibility means, just from the very basic level, whether it's building it into our future work as we design documents and design items that will be in the digital sphere, what factors do we need to consider and embed? Once we know those, the work, because of the automated tools that exist within all of our software, PowerPoint and Word, the work will be straightforward moving into the future. But we also have to look at items we've put out there in the past. And so the remediation of documents that are already online or in our archives, we need to make sure that happens by April 26th as well. But it begins with education, it begins with understanding the plan, and there'll be additional communications coming forth throughout the year to help us get there. The notion of strive for 85 is we would like to be 85% compliant by the end of this semester and then build towards full compliance by the deadline in April. But we'll do this together, and we're doing it for the right reasons. We're doing it to support other human beings who deserve an education and participation here at the University of North Dakota. The second initiative that I know you'll receive a lot of communications about over this year is our Job Architecture and Career Path Initiative. Several years ago, we engaged with Huron Consulting to look at our pay equity and to look at how we can design a more comprehensive and complete architecture for our career paths here on the campus. The initial look was at pay equity in areas of protected hiring categories, as well as identifying and fixing pay gaps relative to the market. And so that work happened over the last 2 years, and we made changes based on that. But then the continuing work is on how we identify to each of you career progression, and how you can have a long, fulfilling career at the University of North Dakota while earning a salary that's commensurate and fair with the market, and to make sure that we can keep you here as long as possible, that you're not driven away because of your compensation. The University of North Dakota offers so many things, a kind, supportive environment, but we recognize that how we compensate people truly matters. So over the next year, our folks in HR, Peggy Varberg, Jen Moe, and Carla Stewart, will be communicating with the campus on a routine basis about the steps we're taking under the launch of this new career progression and job architecture system, and we hope that information will be useful to you. I should also mention that I suspect that at our town hall meeting next week, Melanie, what day is it? It's on Tuesday? Wednesday, the 27th, at what time? At noon. You will have a chance to ask questions about this and many other issues that might be on your mind. But I just wanted to highlight this, that this is great work because we think describing how you're paid, how you're compensated for your talents truly matters, and we want to make sure that it's done fairly and consistently across the entire campus. The next 3 slides will actually focus on some important forces that are impacting our campus in interesting ways, things that you need to be aware of. The first is the impact of the NCAA. How many people have read about all the stuff happening in the NCAA, Division I sports? Fewer than I thought. You should tune in. NCAA sports and our sports programs, I believe, are central to our campus. It's part of building community. It's part of our identity, being able to cheer on our student athletes and to usher them into the success that we saw at the beginning. It's not just about the sports. It's about the academic success as well. But the NCAA is moving forward. There was several lawsuits that had come out that led to a decision in 2021 to allow student athletes to earn money based on their name, their image, and their likeness. And some would say this is fair because a music major can go out and earn money based on their name, their image, their likeness, and their talents. But student athletes couldn't. So these lawsuits ended up with a decision that said they could. And in the subsequent 3 or 4 years, up until very recently, there were additional lawsuits to figure out what that means. So Bill Chaves and Eric Martinson and their team are doing great work to identify how this impacts the University of North Dakota. But please know, we are not trying to compete with Alabama or Auburn or the Big Ten or the SEC schools. This is about making sure that we can attract people who want to be part of our UND community as athletes, as scholars, and as citizens. And when we find them, we want to be able to keep them because we chose them for a reason, for what they will bring to our campus. So thanks to you two for all of your hard work and your entire team as well for what you do to make that happen. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch. You've seen a lot of press about executive orders and courts, and we know this is confusing. It's confusing to many, and we've had to be very patient across the campus to understand how executive orders coming from the White House, things like cuts to research funding, things like challenging DEI programs, and the list goes on, how those will play out in practice and impact our campus. And please note that I'm committed to maintaining a sense of inquiry and research across our campus. I'm interested in having the tough conversations about what it means to be together as a community of people who come from different backgrounds and honoring those backgrounds. So all of this, to me even, is a wait and see. An executive order is issued, a court injuncts or delays that order. It goes to another court that either agrees or disagrees. And Nancy Yan, you've been incredible, and Stephanie Johnson have been incredible about advising us. Donna Smith is here too, about what all of this means. And I thank you for your patience. We thought the sky would be falling, but bits of the sky has fallen, and to the tune of about $3 million in lost research funding, out of a portfolio of about $200 million in funded research. There's probably another $1 million in the balance of uncertainty, and we're watching this very carefully. We have folks like Scott Snyder, our Vice President for Research, Charlie Gorecki, the CEO of the EERC, who are in constant contact with our federal delegation, Senator Hoeven, Senator Kramer, and Representative Fedorchuk, to better understand and to tell them the impact of these changes. In fact, Charlie hosted last week the Secretary of Energy to talk about how will he help us free up the funding that's still in the waiting at the Department of Energy. And we'll see how that influence moves out and pays dividends later on. So thanks to the two of them and many others on the campus who are telling the story about how to respond to the executive orders. My goal is to make sure you get the information in a timely way. We have a website that describes what's happening with the executive orders, and there's a great working group that's been put together that's chaired by Anna Clark, by Michael Sadler, and by Judy Solberg. And their work has been instrumental in gathering information so we can understand better how these executive orders will play out. And then at the state level, of course, there's uncertainty. We had a wonderful legislative session this spring. The funding needs were met at the university. We had some challenges, but I think we fought through some of them. But now in the off season, the legislature has interim committees that will look at how we fund higher education. They will look at how we organize the system of higher education. And there's uncertainty about how that will play out. Vice President Carla Stewart is actually sitting on one of those committees. She'll be feeding us information about what plays out. We know that they're going to examine the funding formula. We know that they'll look at these roles and missions. We know that there will be a focus on workforce and how our universities contribute to the state of North Dakota's workforce. Now, you might say that sounds like 2-year degrees, but let's face it, all of the graduates of our program will seek some place in society, whether it's in North Dakota or somewhere else. And just like the great work of our humanities programs looking at the impact of AI, I know that each of your departments is saying, how do we ready our workforce to go do productive things? And that could be through the work that we're developing in critical thinking, in communications, in how we reason. And so there's many ways that we develop our students in these 4-year educational bachelor's programs at the undergraduate level and in our graduate degrees. I should thank Peter Johnson as well for his work connecting to the legislature. We will continue to tell the story of how the University of North Dakota offers amazing opportunities for each of our graduates and all the people who work here on the campus. Let me also thank the University Senate, student government leaders, and the Staff Senate for their voice during the legislative session. The words that you provided in testimony were absolutely fantastic. So thanks to you and your members. Well done. I'm going to end today by talking about some moonshots. So if you remember, President Kennedy back in the 60s said, by the end of the decade, we will put a man on the moon. It's not what he sounds like, but you remember. I could modernize it and say we put a person on the moon, which we've done. I think we've put only men on the moon at this point. We need to get a woman on the moon sometime soon. I'll get to that in a minute. But the moonshot that I wanted to share with you is we actually launched satellites into space. So the Odegaard School has an experiment that was just launched on a Falcon SpaceX Heavy rocket, and we'll show the video here in a moment. And the experiment, you'll see 2 satellites released. What's happening is they're orbiting the Earth. In fact, every hour and a half, no, they're visible, yeah, every hour and a half. Ron, where are you? Ron, twice per day is when we see them, right? But I think they kind of circle pretty fast. If you squint and you look up in the sky, you can see them. No, you can't. They're like this big. You can't see them from here. But what's happening is one is going faster than the other. The other will eventually catch up to the first one. And the whole goal is to dock them together. And it's using new techniques for docking, using GPS, which has never been done before by a university. And then it will use magnetic connections as well to get them together. The reason this is important is it's UND flying high. And you'll hear broadcast on the launch, they'll say UND Roads 1 released, UND Roads 2 released. This is it. This is us with a moonshot, so to speak. So congratulations, Ron, for the work of you and your team. And Christopher, great job. Here it goes. Here it goes. Then we have liftoff.
UND Roads 1, separation confirmed.
Sound effects.
UND Roads 2, separation confirmed.
Boom. Excellent. And that's
All
it.
payloads in the
We
first
condensed
display
it.
event successfully separated.
There we go. You can watch it live. But how long does it take to get into orbit? It's probably like an 11-minute flight to get the rocket up into orbit. And then it just starts spitting out satellites as it goes. It probably had like between 60 and 70 satellites. It just kind of spits them out into orbit. And we had 2 of them. It's amazing. So Ron Fevig, thank you for your leadership. Thanks for leading the experiment. Thanks to Pablo de Leon for his enduring leadership as well. Great job to the whole team. Now, the reason this is interesting, the reason I call it a moonshot is, and they were probably thinking it long before I was, but I call it a Lions Club meeting in 2021, I said something. I didn't realize the press was there. I said, we're going to be launching satellites from UND within the next 5 years. And the press was there, and they wrote about it. And what happened was a legislator then read about it and said, he called me up and said, are you serious? I said, absolutely. And that's when we got well funded by the state of North Dakota to do this type of work. So be careful what you utter at the Rotary or the Lions Club, because it might come back to haunt you. Now, Kathy and I were talking last night, and she says she wants to be part of the next experiment. She wants to be the first woman on the moon, and we think we can do it from here at UND. So when you say to infinity and beyond, sometimes people listen. And I'm about to do 2 infinity and beyond statements, not with regard to space, but with 2 ideas that I think we need to rally behind as a campus, and it involves all of us. The first one is about how do we keep putting humanity in AI? And I could go on and on about AI. Some people say, it's just a tool. Oh, and I should also, Ryan, I forgot to mention, back to satellites for a moment. Ryan Adams and his folks in the College of Engineering and Mines, our aerospace engineering program, our mechanical, all the engineers are contributing to this, are actually designing satellites to be launched on SpaceX rockets, and they'll do a variety of experiments. So that's another angle too. It's not just about launching this experiment, it's about designing and building them. So kudos to you guys too. More clapping. The clapping is starting to get a little thin. So the reason I want to talk about AI just for a moment is some people say AI is just a tool. It's like a big calculator. I think it's bigger than that. And what we're seeing is people are putting a lot of trust in what AI is telling them. And in some cases, it's warranted. I know this because this is related to my field. Math and computers can do some amazing things. They can find solutions that we can't as human beings. And we have to relish that, celebrate it, and develop techniques that allow us to keep doing that. And we're doing that in droves at UND. We also have to know the ethical pitfalls, the challenges. We have to be savvy customers of what AI does and doesn't do. David Chalmers, a noted philosopher who's been talking about AI for a while now, visited our campus and told us we will have artificial general intelligence in 2 to 4 years and artificial superintelligence in 6. Artificial superintelligence is when the machines are smarter and have more intelligence than human beings. Now, we don't know if that's really happening. That's his prediction. But I can tell you this. There's no better place to have the discussions about the technology and what its impact is on our very humanity than at the University of North Dakota. Because we have the people who are interested in these discussions across all disciplines to have the meaningful discussion and debate. And we want all of our students to go out when they're greeted with AI tools in the workforce. They should be facile with the tools, but they should also have skepticism about abandoning their human responsibilities. And we have to be the purveyors of this. This is not driven by profit motive, and I'm not maligning those who are trying to make a buck off of AI. There's lots of them out there. But it is about how do we search for the truth and the future of AI. And it's in our hands to do it. It's in our hands to show our students, to demonstrate how learning happens, and to be part of the front row of that discussion. So that's all I got to say about that one. And when it comes to innovation, I'm parlaying or paraphrasing a movie title here, but our campus, when you look at the UND strategic plan that talks about discovery and creativity and innovation, we've had several groups on our campus looking at how do we structure our innovative processes and how do we pull together all of the places on our campus that are looking at innovation and entrepreneurship and creativity. And one group is led by Amy Whitney and Sean Valentine, and Tiffany Ford's active, and a number of others are active in that work to understand how do we demonstrate, where do we connect, how do people connect into the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem at the University of North Dakota. And then in addition, a second effort that's co-directed by Courtney Jensen and Jason Jensen is looking at how do we position our long-range strategic plan to do innovation and economic prosperity better at the University of North Dakota. Why is this important? It's because the state of North Dakota, as they invest in us, want to see that we're not only graduating students who become great citizens, but all of the money that we're bringing in for research is actually having an impact. It's having an impact for the economic prosperity of the state and for the nation. And so, the moonshot is this. By the end of the year, get ready for it, I want to see UND launch or take substantial steps to launch 4 new companies based on research that's done at the University of North Dakota. This builds on an amazing foundation of our Center for Innovation, which currently has about 70 different clients, about half in place and half virtual. It builds upon the amazing work of the Small Business Development Center under Tiffany Ford. But there's more we can do. The gap that we have, the piece that is missing, is being able to take our great discoveries and inventions and put them into practice. We publish about them, we give papers, we give presentations, but there's a gap. And the state of North Dakota wants to see us make it happen. So that's the moonshot. Oh, round of applause. And in case I realize I ended the AI discussion abruptly, the AI moonshot is we are going to be the AI university for the state of North Dakota. In the sense that we're looking at everything holistically. We need to be a national example of how AI can be adopted. And if you think about this, the state legislature provided no funding for AI adoption within higher ed or K-12. We need to look at public-private partnerships and the ingenuity of everybody in this room and across the campus to show how AI can be studied, how we can prepare our students in meaningful ways to go out. So 2 moonshots, one on AI and one on innovation. And that's where we're heading. Now you might be asking, when is he going to be done? We started the presentation with the words of the year. The first year was gratitude. And you'll notice artwork that was adopted. The eternal flame, which we all see, a wonderful statue and mark on our campus. Year 2 was connection. And this is Seurat's image, pointillism painting on the banks of the Grand Jatte. Year 3 was momentum, and this was an Edgerton photo of a drop creating a beautiful coronet, so a demonstration of momentum and force. And so this year, the word of the year, you've heard it probably about a dozen times already today. The word of the year is community. There is so much uncertainty about the future of higher education. There's so much uncertainty about how funding is going to come to us. There's so much uncertainty just in general that now is the time to bind together as a community, to think about and to look out for one another, to figure out how collectively we can solve the most vexing problems that the world throws at us. And we can do that together. We can do that with our students. We can do that with the local community. And we've chosen the image behind the artwork this year is the image of a quilt, a form of art that focuses on how do you create patterns. Quilts are built in a sense of community. There are quilters' guilds. In fact, the North Star Guild is our quilt community here in Grand Forks. And so there's an essence. You've seen pictures of groups of people coming together to quilt together. The Gee's Bend quilts in Alabama. These are ways that people come as a community to create art. The image that you see in front of you is an image from Jolene Michelson, who is a UND graduate and a quilter, a member of the guild here in North Dakota. This hangs outside of radiology at the new Altru Hospital. A beautiful image of what a hospital means to the community. This is called the Hospital in the Park. And when we think about other forms of quilting, you think of how a single pattern can then create so many different designs from the same pattern. There's an important analog here, folks, that we, from the human design, we, human beings, have so many different patterns, each one more beautiful than the next, and how we come together to celebrate those differences and the togetherness can be represented by this idea of quilting. We also see quilts used in ceremonies, and quilts are a form of comfort and warmth, just like a community should be. And here we see Eliana Malnori, who herself is also an outstanding track and field and cross-country athlete, receiving her quilt as part of the InMed program. Eliana is a major in public health education and an outstanding runner, outstanding member of our community. And here, Dr. Monica Mayer is presenting her with her quilt. Nothing like receiving the embrace of your community through the symbol of a quilt. And so that's why we've chosen the quilt. It's the perfect art piece to represent what we do, and that's create a sense of community. Let me return back to our strategic plan: learning, equity, affinity, discovery, and service. This is who we are. This is how you described what we do as a campus. This is UND Leads. I'm proud to be your president. I'm proud to be part of this amazing group. I need to thank, for today's presentation, all the people who made it possible, in particular Jess Kinneberg, who's in the back, Adam Kurtz, Matt Schill, Rob Carolyn, Brooke Conlon, Jeanette Gratton, for their incredible work preparing for today, and all the volunteers who have helped out both here and for the picnic. Thanks to the Memorial Union staff for getting everything set today, and also let me thank catering under Andrea Green for their incredible work, not just today, but every day that we enjoy the food of this great university. So to end, there's a picnic at our house. Kathy and I will be there. The house will be open for visitors to come in addition to picnicking on the side. And I'm so proud to be here at the University of North Dakota to serve as your president and to welcome all the students that we're going to see arriving on our campus this weekend in record numbers. Enjoy the day. Keep celebrating what you do together. Keep accomplishing great things. I'm so proud of you. Well done.